Hi, if you're watching this video, then you've fallen down the rabbit hole of the internet and arrived at it, and that's fine. Watch it, you might enjoy it. Or if that's not the case, then you're probably in one of my classes, and a couple things may be happening. Number one, it might be early in the year and we're getting our communication legs under us. Or number two, you're in a class but you're not competing in speech and debate, and so you gotta do something. Or number three, I've lost all control of my world and I'm just trying to get us back to basics. If I were a bet man. So let's go back to basics, and let me just start by talking about why communication is important. If you're a human, and it's a pretty good bet that if you're watching this video you are, then you've got a brain, and that's pretty cool. In fact, it's the coolest thing you can be, a human on the planet Earth. Other than maybe a Power Ranger on the planet Tatooine, if that's canon, or a Vulcan on Vulcan, or Navarre now, if that's canon. The streaming services really are rewriting my belief system, which is a good idea for a future video. The point is, you've got this brain, and the whole point of the brain is to take in information and to understand the world that you're in. You use your senses to take in that information, and then your brain processes it and tries to understand it. Here's an example. You might smell smoke, and so you look to the person at your left, and you see that Drew has set his desk on fire again. And so you might choose at that moment to communicate to your friends, hey, the building's on fire, we should evacuate. Another example, you might be walking down the street and pass somebody whose pheromones are particularly powerful, and you look at them and you think, ooh, I would like to communicate with this person. And so you say something like,
I've seen you in AP Chemistry. Yeah, I've kind of had my eye on you.
Thanks, Noah. But the point is, communication allows us to express the meaning that we're making of the world. But we are only individuals. We all process information differently, we see the world differently, and we may want to communicate that meaning because we're having different experiences. I, by myself, the hardware that's in this skull comes with preloaded some pretty incredible software and apps. And the cool thing about them is they continue to develop and get cooler as you age and get experience. And then you hit my age and they start, you have to download plugins and stuff to keep it going. So here's the thing. Everybody on this planet is searching for the meaning of life. That's why the arts exist. That's why really everything, all exploration exists. Science, arts, math, all of it is about what does all of this mean to be a human being? And the thing is, because I am not connected to someone like telepathically, I don't know the meaning that they're creating from their sensory inputs. I only know what I am creating through my sensory inputs. And so communication allows us to network. It allows us to create an internet of humanity so that we can understand one another's point of view. And when you understand that, it's vital that you develop skills that help you to do that, because that's how we understand other people. It's how we understand situations. And it's how we understand that my point of view isn't the only one. That the way I'm thinking about something may not be the right way or the only way. And it's really important, if we're going to be upstanding members of society, that we learn to communicate our meaning and to listen to others communicate theirs and try to understand it. That's it for the learning. So if you're not in my class, you don't have to do this assignment that I'm about to talk about, but stick around. I'll link to a video right here, probably, that will be connected in some way to this video. I don't know, I'll figure it out later. If you are doing the assignment though, then here's what it is. You're gonna do an informative speech. Now this is probably not the first informative speech you've done in this class or in life, but it's pretty simple. I want you to keep it simple, and I want you to start with something that you already know a lot about. Now if you're more advanced, you can think, hey, what am I curious about, and go do some research. But I want you to start with something that you could talk about for hours with a friend who already also knows about this subject. So think about something that you're into. Theater, sports, video games, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You're gonna write an outline today. That's the assignment. The outline has 5 parts. So they are introduction, point 1, point 2, point 3, conclusion. We're not gonna worry about the conclusion right now. Let's talk about the introduction. The introduction needs to be a story that is in some way connected to your topic. Well, that is actually definitely connected to your topic in a very clear way. And so if I were going to use the examples that I mentioned earlier about, Power Rangers on Tatooine and Vulcans on Navarre, I might introduce the subject by this. Pretend I'm starting my speech. This is my introduction. I'm making this up. We'll see. Between my 4th grade and 5th grade year, I moved from one town to another with my family. I wasn't on my own as a 4th grader. But that summer, I moved to a place where I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any friends. And that's when I discovered Star Trek, the original series. And during that summer, Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Scotty, Uhura, Sulu, and Chekhov became my best friends. And still are, in many ways. Don't worry, I have real friends. I have a friend. I know a guy. Will you be my friend? Is that creepy? So the Star Trek characters became my friends, my family, and I boldly went where no 4th grader had gone before except all the other 4th graders who had seen Star Trek. Anyway, the point is that was my introduction to Star Trek and Trek culture, and since then, I've always been a fan. I've seen every episode of every show, including the new stuff that's on Paramount Plus. And I'm processing it. So that introduced me to Star Trek and pop culture in general, and from that time on, I've been a consumer, like so many people, of pop culture. And like all people who get into a fandom, I have very strong feelings about what is canon and what is not canon, and what is real for me as a Star Trek or Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or whatever fan, right? And what is real for other people. So I'm going to talk to you today about fandom and what it means. First, and then here's where I insert my 3 points. First, I'm going to define fan culture or fandom. Second, I'm going to explore the good side. And third, I'm going to talk about the drawbacks and where we can all maybe learn some important lessons about how to interact with other people online or in person when we're talking about the properties we love. So that's my introduction. So you see, I start with a story, I end with a thesis statement. It's a 3-pronged thesis statement because I have 3 points. Then I would spend time talking about each of those points. Here's your assignment. You're going to write the introduction. It looks like this. Introduction, dash, and then just words that will remind you of the story. Underneath that, thesis. The thesis is the 3-pronged statement that you're going to talk about. Underneath that, you're going to write Roman numeral 1, period, and then just a sentence that talks about what that is. Then do that for point 2, point 3. Don't worry about the conclusion, just note it. Conclusion goes here. We'll deal with that later. Your assignment then is to do that outline and to come up with a source for one of those 3 points. A source for this assignment can be any internet site. I don't care, as long as it's a fairly legitimate site. Just find something where you can draw an opinion or a quote or some data to support your conclusions. That's it. The outline is due today, unless you're not in my class, and then it's due whenever you want to do it. I'll never see it. That's it. See you later.